Moving on to long ball number 2, should Major League Soccer become more protectionist? In an interview with Simplemente Football, Leo Messi says that the league is getting stronger, but he believes the league is getting stronger by adding many young foreign players. And if the league allows more players to be brought in, will only enhance the quality more. So, Brooks, you've got your finger on the domestic talent pool. We see other countries, most other countries, put a lot of safeguards on how many domestic players are required in rosters to enhance the player pool. There's plenty of restrictions on rosters in Major League Soccer, but do you think that they could be more protectionist here?
I mean, if you look around the world, you have a lot of leagues, let's put aside the EPL because the EPL is going to be the best players from across the world. But you look in the Eredivisie, you look in the Juniper Pro League in Belgium, Australia, the A-League, even La Liga, Serie A, as well. It's very heavily domestic. And they only really have like 5 or 6 international players on a roster. And that's barring if, you can get a dual citizenship for those countries. And as we say, we go back to Gold Cup with the Gold Cup coming up, and a lot of the analysts have been talking about it, is that, as an American country with soccer and USL and MLS, we do feed and we do build the other CONCACAF, teams within CONCACAF, the El Salvadors, the Panamas, Mexico, and just it's different. So I don't disagree with Messi. It's a thing where we need to, as a country, we need to be more protective of our own and play our domestic players, whether that's an academy player, whether that's, USL getting more into the college space and not just having some of these college players and such just be fillers and, maybe hopefuls for being on the first team and coming through. We need to focus a lot more on playing our young American players and hopefully selling them overseas. And I want, and I get it. We want to make the game beautiful. We want to make it nice. MLS is really trying to get up and be, one of those top, 5-6 leagues in the world, and they're working their way up there. And I know it's taken international players to make the game better. It's the same in the college game. The colleges that have done well in the past need international players to make it better and to play a more attractive style of soccer. But with the growth of the game and how much investment we're putting in these MLS academies and such, we definitely should look at playing more of the domestic players. And some MLS clubs do, but not enough, unfortunately. And then USL needs to dig into that a little more too as they grow.
Yeah, Father Time in the chat, a Detroiter, I believe, or at least a DCFC fan, stating USL will be the home of the domestic American player. Definitely, it seems like my early interactions with USL was the Caribbean players seem to have a home in USL. And I know it's been argued many times that MLS is actually enriched CONCACAF more so than the United States. So perhaps at the game that I went to, there was a couple college players that I recognized that have moved up. And then for Portland Hearts of Pine, there was what's it? Morse was
Hunter Morse, yeah.
Hunter Morse, another local kid. So that trend is already starting with domestic players finding their start, at least, or finding a place in the professional soccer world in USL. So if Major League Soccer was to make any steps, whether they make any steps or not, what do you think is more likely to help produce the players that are going to get minutes? Is it the academies? Is it promotion and relegation of more small teams, just giving more domestic players a chance, or something else that, like, how do we get more talent from the United States into the professional soccer leagues domestically?
I think it's both for different leagues. So MLS, like comparing MLS and USL, you have the teams like the Philadelphia Union that are bought in. We're going to play our kids. You have the RSLs of the world. They're going to play their kids. Orlando City does a little bit. Red Bull's been known for doing this. Chicago Fire is starting to do a little more as they've signed a lot of their homegrown kids and they're playing for the second team, or they've been signed in the, 3-4 years ago, they signed some and they've come up through the first team. There are always going to be those clubs that are going to to do that in MLS. And then you're going to have the LAs and Inter Miamis of the world and NYCFCs that are going to say, hey, we'll play our kids, but like we're mostly going to buy the international players because we want to be the best teams in the league. And LAFC's brought a couple guys in from their academy. They haven't stuck around very long. LA Galaxy's getting towards that. For me in the domestic game, I think it's the USL side that really needs to be clever with this. You saw a few years ago, Charleston Battery, so former DCFC coach Ben Pierman is now there. You get Fidel Barajas. He didn't want to get stuck behind people in the San Jose Earthquakes first team. You get Barajas, and then you play him a little bit. You sell him to RSL to make some money. RSL signs him to Chivas, and then Chivas has loaned him out, I believe, to the Revolution this year. But you want that type of thing. You've seen it with Louisville City, with the Winder brothers. One to Benfica, one being just Elijah being sold to LA Galaxy. So you're seeing it happen, but the belief in the ownership groups and the sporting director staff and the head coaches to believe in the domestic player that they have their part within the game and within the team system to do the certain parts. And then you implement the international players in the attacking front three, in the 10 role, as an 8. That's where we need to, be a little more clever with, scouting the domestic game, college, youth, UPSL. It's just people don't dive into the American game enough, unfortunately. And that's why we see a lack of domestics, especially in USL, coming through that system and being sold on to bigger teams.
What's the simple, elevator pitch for getting more eyeballs out there?
Funding scouting and just believing that, with your local talent. Listen, you could probably start another team in Chicago that's not an MLS team, and you can make it USL League One or Championship. And I'm sure someone, if they did it right, could find domestic players in Chicago and build it out. We'll talk later about USL in California. There's a lot of talent and pockets there that don't reach in the LA, San Diego, or San Jose area. They're kind of stuck in between. New York has a lot of talent. It's just getting out there, do the work. Stop, calling your friends to figure out, is this kid good or not? Get your boots on the ground, go do the work, and that's how we'll find the players. It's not easy to scout. People try to use analytics all the time and take the easy way out. You cannot take the easy way out to find talent.
No shortcuts in scouting, it would seem.